for his statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic.
Thank you, Madam President. My delegation at the outset stresses that justice was and will always remain the cornerstone that was approved by the founding fathers of the United Nations 75 years ago in order to achieve the welfare, good, and peace for the nations of the world without discrimination or selectivity. In this regard, allow me to recall the provisions of Security Council Resolution 2282 of 2016. Underpinning the concept note of this meeting in many places, the aforementioned resolution reiterates that maintaining peace is an objective in a process to build a common societal vision, including activities to prevent conflicts and their escalation, continuation, relapse, and to address their root causes, and to achieve national reconciliation, and to move forward towards recovery, reconstruction, and development. And the same resolution stressed the primary responsibility of governments and national authorities in determining priorities, strategies, and implementation activities to maintain peace. However, the reality of practice of today runs counter to these guiding principles in a flagrant manner. There are governments that have political, economic, and military influence, which are practicing an unprecedented tendency to misinterpret and violate the provisions of the Charter, working methods, and procedure in an attempt to impose unilateral vision on UN frameworks and to direct them in pathways that would help these governments to interfere in the affairs of other states. The same governments are trying to introduce contentious concepts which will negatively affect the future of this organization and its status, and will deepen differences and dictate atmospheres of discord and hostility on interstate relations. In a clearer sense, we in the Syrian Arab Republic, along with a considerable number of member states, caution against a historic turning point when these governments can use the UN legal mechanisms to be a tool for political pressure against certain states through linking the principles of justice with contentious concepts such as universal jurisdiction and the responsibility to protect. We in the Syrian Arab Republic reject the policy of hypocrisy and double standards practiced by governments of member states that are negatively interfering in the political process in Syria and are trying to hamper the genuine political reconciliation and impose economic blockade against the Syrian people, undermine reconstruction and recovery in my country, all of which are inseparable parts of the provisions of the Security Council resolution that I mentioned at the beginning. The practices of these governments within the frameworks of the United Nations are underpinned by an unethical principle, which is the end justifies the means. With regard to the misleading talk by some representatives on the existence of an international independent impartial mechanism in Syria, the IIIM, we reiterate through legal evidence that the so-called IIIM will and was and will remain an example of a violation of the Charter and the working methods and rules of procedure when the General Assembly encroached on the mandate of the Security Council and violated Article 12 and adopted Resolution 248/71 that established the so-called IIIM, despite its prior knowledge that the Security Council is exclusively responsible for dealing with the situation in my country, Syria. The General Assembly further ignored that its mandate in accordance with Articles 10, 11, 12, and 22 of the Charter do not or does not give it any right or authority to establish any body, judicial mechanism, and so on and so forth. And my country, the country concerned, did not request any technical assistance from the United Nations to establish such a body. And I will conclude with regard to the IIIM by saying that in my country there are long-standing national judicial legal bodies that have the will and ability to achieve justice, provide accountability, reparation, and assistance, away from any flagrant interference that seek to achieve distorted and reprisal justice rather than just transitional justice. We call on all to adopt balanced policies where principles are matched by action, and we call on you to dedicate a meeting in order to hold certain governments the direct or indirect responsibility for the flow of thousands of foreign terrorist fighters into my country, Syria, from more than 100 states who are members of this international organization that advocates peace and security of nations, including or among these 100 states are all the member states of the European Union. We call on the same governments to shoulder their responsibilities in taking back the FTFs who hold their nationalities, who have wreaked havoc, killed and devastated my country, and in Iraq and Libya. We also call on you, while talking about peace and justice, to seriously consider a very serious issue, which is the attempt by some members of the Council to use it as a media forum for the sake of some military coalitions such as NATO, and to level accusations or threaten to use military force against member states of the United Nations from the forum of the Security Council, which is entrusted with maintaining international peace and security. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic for